Vienna Town Council. My name is Mike D'Orazio, Deputy Director of Planning and Zoning. Tonight we have a presentation on the feasibility study for the Patrick Henry Library public parking garage study. This was first introduced or discussed in 2016. In the 2018 capital improvement plan, we set aside some money for a joint feasibility study with Fairfax County. And the point of the feasibility study was looking at how we can incorporate public parking in a new library on the current existing site. So tonight before you, we have Allison Tarzini with Fairfax County. She'll be going through a presentation. We also have Jessica Hudson, who's the Director of Fairfax County Public Libraries, and Griffin Parker is also here as well. And they were the architects on the consulted study.
Excellent.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So I'm Allison Terrazini, and I currently work with Capital Facilities in Fairfax County. And I was tasked with the job to prepare with the design consultants, Griffin Parker, the feasibility study for the Patrick Henry redevelopment project. Today, we're just going to give you a brief overview of the project and the findings, the final concepts that were developed by the design team, the schedule, and then the next steps moving forward. So beginning of January of this year, we initiated a joint committee between the town and the county. And during that, we held several team meetings with the town to discuss what the need for the redevelopment for the Patrick Henry site would be. The current facility is a 13,000 square foot library. And we, based on the programming needs of the new libraries, we need approximately 21,000 square feet footprint for the library. With that, we also need some additional parking. And with that, the potential opportunity for structured parking came about, and partnering with the town of Vienna, as they also, as you know, are in need of parking for your downtown area. And you have visions of centralized parking. As we developed the concepts, we fine-tuned them, and the beginning of June, we finalized the concepts and have internally prepared presentations to the county on the feasibility study, and now we are presenting it to the town of Vienna. So just to give you a general overview, the site is just across the street from the town hall on Center Street. And to the north is Maple Avenue, and then to the south is the school, as well as the community center and the game fields. Also to the north, there's a lot of commercial development along Maple Avenue. As well as the town green. So when we were evaluating the site, one of the things that we wanted to make sure that we maintained both of the access points along Maple Avenue as well as Center Street. That was very important to the design team, especially since we were going to try to have this parking structure that will need to have access for the vehicular as well as the pedestrian access for the library. When also we were considering the site, we also looked at the existing facilities. The existing utilities were already in place. We also looked at the site amenities, like there was a bus shelter that was already there that we did not want to alter, as well as an existing access to the school. That was very important. As you'll see in the top corner there is an access to the school service area that we needed to maintain while we were developing the site as well. So these are some of the important things that we had to take into consideration. As you guys know, the existing the existing character is more of an older architecture. And as you'll see as we move forward into the design concepts, you'll see that the design team took two artistic looks. We took at one a modern look and one for a more traditional look that would fit into the existing streetscape. Those are just concepts that were designed so that we could get just some ideas of materials and things that we could potentially use moving forward. Just to mention again, this is a feasibility study, and it will be further developed as the design process goes forward. So the original scope, we were looking at basically the by right C2 zoning, as well as looking at the Maple Avenue commercial zoning district as well. As we were defining those concepts, we found that the Maple Avenue commercial zoning did not help the proposed development. It actually required more open space and less impervious area requirements. That when developing the parking garage and developing the site for maximum use, we weren't able to develop as much area for the parking as well as the library. So that option was not further developed. So the concepts that we're moving forward today is option A, which is the county itself, and option B, which is the partnership with the town of Vienna. B1 is a structured parking with 2 levels above grade, and then option B2 is a third additional level, which the third additional level will require will require a variance because it would be above the 35 height, maximum height per the by right zoning. The first option, I'll go quickly through it because it's just the county only, but it's in a two-story library facility. While developing this, we were able to fit 90 parking spaces on the site. I do want to mention that the county did do a parking study by Walker Consultants. And actually during that study, the demand showed that we needed approximately 115 spaces for the 21,000 square foot building facility. Per zoning, it was 72 is required. So we were meeting the zoning requirements and we were going a little bit above, but we were not meeting the demand that was needed for the actual library. The concept for A is more of a modern feel, like I had mentioned. It's more metal panels and a lot of glass, glass facade. That's just something that the architects took into consideration just to try to change up the look. Now, as I mentioned, these could get further defined and the materials could change as the design progresses, but this is just for the library itself. Some other views from Maple Avenue. Then option B1 is a one-level library, which is the best scenario for the library. They prefer that all programming be on one level. And then the parking garage would then be 2 levels on top of the library. So that's the 1 level and 2 levels. With this concept B1, the total amount of parking is 209 spaces, of which 125 would be for the county's purposes, and then 84 would then be the town of Vienna's during this option. Option B2 was just an additional layer of parking, and so the town would then have the county would have the 125, and then the additional parking would be all to the town of Vienna, which the town would then have, I believe it is 188 spaces for this B2 option. With the B2 option, like I had mentioned, there is a variance that we would need to apply for. It's approximately 7 feet above the maximum height for the by right zoning. These are some of the schematic sketches for the B1 option. This is, as you'll see, the storefront type feel, streetscape with the awnings and the sidewalks, the walkable sidewalks. You can't really tell that it's a parking garage because it's really a store. It has the fake storefronts. And then the bottom level where you see the yellow awnings would be the library. So this gives it more of a town feel. Option B2 just elevates it one level, so you'll just see the height difference. So now you'll see the second row of windows, so you can see the height difference. One thing that I do want to mention about the site, the school behind the library is actually at a higher elevation than the library, okay. So the additional height, you're really not going to see a scale difference because the school is so much higher, as well as the buildings to the, I believe, the east, and then the gas station to the west, I'm assuming that potentially will be maybe redeveloped in the near future, so who knows what that will be. So these are some just additional schematics from Maple Avenue, the B1 option, and then the B2, just the additional height. Here you'll see that they did intermix some of the materials, the metal panels on the access ways where the elevators and the emergency stairways and egress points would be. Just another view where the drop-off area or loading area for the library and to drive into the garage. So as I mentioned, option A is just the county only. Option B is the partnership option. And then option B would be B1 or B2, depending on what the town would want to pursue on the number of parking that they would want to achieve. Option A, just to recap, would be 90 spaces for the county only. Option B would be 125 for the county and 94 for the town. Option B2 partnership would be 125 for the county and 188 spaces for the town. So as we're moving forward today, we're at the council meeting, and we have already had meetings with the county executive and the upper management team, and they are in support of moving forward with solidifying a partnership. So actually, as of soon as tomorrow, we're actually going to have another work session with the team, with the town and with the county together to kick off the partnership. So just to let you know kind of the timeline on this, we are having the work session tomorrow, and we'll be continuing to further develop the agreement through the end of the year. And then we will get the agreement approved and then solidify the scope and budget for the bond referendum for November of 2020. And then pending the approval of the pending the approval of the bond in November, potentially we would start the kickoff of the design January of 2021. So with a completion of the end of 2024 for this project, where this is all an estimate at this point, but this is what potentially we would be tracking against. So moving forward, like I mentioned, we have the support of county management, and we're going to solidify moving forward with the partnership with the town. We just need to define some of the things and work out the details with the town, but we are looking forward and to working together on this. And that's all I have today. And if you have any questions, the design team and the director of libraries is here to help answer any questions.
Well, thank you for bringing this presentation forward. Councilman Springsteen, you said you had a question?
Thank you very much. That's a very nice presentation. A couple questions. What was the price per parking space?
Mm-hmm. So
just roughly, yeah.
Yeah, right now we're actually evaluating the estimates, so we will know soon. Okay. We don't have the final numbers right now. Okay.
And the other thing is, just my personal thing is, we would have to go over 44 feet, but we still would pick up a lot more spaces. You said
we would have to go over 35 feet.
Yeah, that's understood, yes. But we wouldn't have to go to 54 feet. We could go to 44 feet.
She said
it would be 42.
It would be 7 feet above.
Yeah, okay. And the last thing is, I don't know if you saw, we're in the process of building a new police station next year or so. I don't know if you got a chance to see what they're designing.
No, but it was mentioned to me that it was more of a modern feel.
Yeah.
So that's kind of why we chose two drastic options, kind of a modern feel, more of a traditional feel, for the concept designs as we are moving forward.
Thank you.
Yes. Councilwoman Patel.
Sorry, this is just maybe for the architects, but
Okay.
that picture that you have there is very nice. And I'm wondering if because that has a nice modern, but yet a little bit more, not crazy modern look to it. So I didn't see that in the proposals unless, just, this is in color and that was just a sketch. So just to point that out.
Yes. Well, as I mentioned, we'll be further developing the designs as we go through the process, but those are just concepts at this time. Did
Madam
you
Mayor?
want to add anything?
Oh,
No? No?
I guess. Councilman Noble?
I had, well, my preference is the traditional architecture that you have there, just saying that out loud. But two questions. One's more of a layout question, which would obviously reduce some parking spaces, is would there, as you proceed through the design programming piece, an opportunity to put some sort of retail space on the rest of the Maple Avenue frontage with the recognition that some spaces would be reduced?
At this point, we didn't consider commercial development because the footprint of the library actually takes up a good amount of this.
I was referring to the other side of the drive aisle to the end of the property towards the Cardinal Bank property.
Sorry,
And
but if I...
Mike's going to
I
interrupt.
got to address that too.
Okay.
And the town attorney might recollect there, I think there's some deed restrictions on
Oh,
this
okay.
property for...
Because it's a public use and it's the county's ownership?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, it's more so the public use of the...
All right,
Oh, yes,
understandable. I just, since we have this thing we like retail on Maple Avenue, I figured I'd at least ask the question so we have an answer. And the other thing is you mentioned, since we have the different options here, B1, B2, when is the time point where the town needs to make a decision relative to which design scheme we're looking at? So you mentioned all these other things that are really county-related. When's the option choice for the town? And when, in terms of our
Yes.
needing to tell you?
So what we're looking for is decision from the town council prior to us going to bond, because we want the agreement to be in place prior to us going to bond in November of 2020. So during this year, as we're developing it,
So we
prior
would
to
have,
that date.
So I guess for the town attorney, then as that agreement moves, so I guess we would have to have a conversation internally in terms of our preference so that we could advise them on the preference, and there's a formal vote at that point. Okay. So at some point, can someone outline that for us in terms of dates? That would be helpful.
Yeah, Councilman Noble, I do think that obviously we're going to probably need some time to discuss, and I'm assuming too, the Board of Architectural Review will probably also look at possible design options and have a decision about that. And also, we don't know any of the funding number, the numbers yet, and so that obviously will be something that we'll take into consideration.
And also the height modification, wouldn't that have to go to BZA as an approval process as well?
Correct.
Yeah, but that's once we get into the
But those are all things, right?
process.
Yeah, that to look, I guess over the next 6 months is
Yeah.
what 4 to 6 months is what we'd be looking at, correct?
yes.
Okay, thank you. Anyone, Councilman Majdi?
Could someone, perhaps town staff, explain how the parking requirements work or apply for this potential project? Especially under the, how would they hypothetically have applied if a MAC project were to be considered? I know that we heard that was kind of ruled out earlier for different reasons, including parking.
Are you speaking of the use?
Yes,
the parking
specifically
ratio?
use.
So really, it would just be the library you would have to park with the parking ratios, which I believe is 1 per 300 square feet.
One per 300.
For civic use.
Okay.
And then above that, it's that's just the minimum, so there's no maximum on the amount of parking you provide.
That's interesting. That's already lower than what our regular commercial is by a lot. Okay, thanks. A couple other points. Well, first I should say thank you so much for considering partnering with us on this. This is very promising. One thought, I agree with Councilman Noble. We need to look at the architectural style more. I may have a preference for the traditional style, as he mentioned. I think I might agree with that. Want to see a lot more pictures. I think everybody's going to want to see a lot more pictures. One note about the pictures is that I think the council would be interested in making sure that we have pictures that show the perspective from a pedestrian on the sidewalk on Maple Avenue.
Okay.
And there's some, and you can work with our staff on what the appropriate angles are. I can't recite to you what the specific numbers and the angles are, but I know that's been an issue in the town. That's something we're going to care about. So if you could work with our staff on that. And one more question. How would pedestrian access work to the walkway that's on the Vienna Elementary property? Because I think that's the closest way, the fastest way to get to the ball fields on foot. Is that, would we be partnering with them? Would we have an agreement with them? I don't know what the rules are, but I can tell you from personal experience, sometimes it's closed and locked, sometimes it isn't. And I don't know by what.
Which walkway are you speaking of?
There's a walkway that would be at the top right corner of this diagram. Oh, excuse me, top left corner, that connects what is currently the surface parking lot with Vienna Elementary, and pedestrians often walk through to get to the ball fields right now. And I
Okay.
think that might be of interest.
Okay. We haven't, I don't believe, did we look
I
at that?
don't believe that's on our site.
Okay, that's not on our site, but.
Oh, really?
It's something that, if it is, we will take into consideration to
Yeah.
maintain,
Yeah, we-
obviously.
Councilman Maju, perhaps a clarification. I think what you're referring to is what the lady mentioned was the service access driveway to the back of the school?
Yes.
Which a lot of pedestrians use, is what his point is.
Okay.
And so being cognizant of that there's significant pedestrian usage of people, children, walking from the library around the back of the school towards the community center.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Yeah,
Thank
there is
you.
a service access there. It's not necessarily a pedestrian walkway, but it's a current access that we will maintain with the development of this project.
And would you have to work with the school system on that? Because I believe they control the gate.
We have been coordinating with the schools on that access, so they are well aware of the changes that we're making. And we're actually making sure that the radius for the turns for their trucks and things will still be able to get back into their service area with the new design.
Terrific, thanks.
Thank you. Councilman Potter.
What do you have this far on the provisions for ADA compliance?
Well, all of our designs will be ADA compliant. These are all conceptual designs at this point, but we would have ADA access. We do have ADA parking. We're actually improving that with the new design as we move forward. We will have ADA.
Any other questions? Well, I have one other question. You had mentioned that ideally, the county likes to have, would want to have 115 parking spaces.
125.
125 you'd want, okay, hence the 125. But you would only have 90 if we were not to partner with you?
Correct.
Okay. Why that shortfall, and why would you not want to put 125? Because even if we didn't, obviously, we like that location. It's a great location for us to partner. It makes a lot of sense. But that's 35 spaces too short, and I know it's a very well-used library.
Well, if we did want to have the 125, then we would need to do structured parking because there is not enough space on our site to do surface parking.
Sure.
There's only room for 90 surface parking spots. So we would, if we looked at moving forward with the project on our own, we could potentially move forward with a structured parking as well, but it'd be by ourselves.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Town manager.
Yes, Madam Mayor, members of the Town Council, I'd just like to thank you for your presentation and your cooperation with our staff, particularly County Executive Brian Hill. Please let him know that I really appreciate your support in this endeavor.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much for your time. We appreciate you coming out and sharing some of these concepts with us. Look forward to continuing to work together.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much.